Hi, everybody, and welcome back to our last very quick video, number 5, in chapter 6. And I think it bears reviewing a little bit when we have a situation where there's sales mix, and that's the relative proportion in which a company's products are sold. So most companies do have more than one product. So we have different selling prices, cost structures, and contribution margins depending on that different product. So when a company sells more than one product, the break-even analysis becomes more complicated. And we'll take a look at this following example, a follow-on from the RBC company who sells bikes, and in this case, carts, and that there is a sales mix between those two products that remains the same. So let's take a look at this one more time. Here, the bikes comprise 45% of RBC's total sales revenue, and the carts comprise the remaining 55%. RBC provides the following information. So here's the bicycle with its sales, variable expenses, and contribution margin. Here's the carts with its sales, variable expenses, and contribution margins, and our total. And the fixed expenses apply to both those products. So I'm going to be making a net operating income here in total of $95,000. So if I look at this sales mix here, 45% of the time we're selling the bicycles, and 55% we're selling carts. Of course, that totals 100% for $550,000, which is shown easily up here. So now what we need to do is calculate the contribution margin percentage. So the way we do that is we take the total sales, 550,000, and divide that into the contribution margin total, 265,000, and that gives me 48.2%, call it average, weighted average contribution margin. Now, when I move to break-even analysis, I'm going to look at the dollar sales. I'm going to take our normal formula for calculating break-even point in sales dollars by taking the fixed expenses and dividing it through by the contribution margin ratio. So our fixed costs in this case were $170,000 here, and our total weighted average contribution margin was 48.2%. That gives me $352,697 break-even dollars, sales dollars. So what that would mean is I take 45% of 352,697, I get $158,714, and I take 55% of 352,697 to get $193,983. I add those beauties together to get the total 352,697. That's the number of sales dollars I need to break even. And that shows here nicely, as you can see. Here is the total sales, 100%. Here's our variable expenses, 182,521 that we get, which would be 51.8% of these sales. And then the 170,176, which is 48.2% of these sales. I back out the fixed expenses. That should be zero operating income. As you see, it's $176 That's just rounding error. So if we did this to pennies, or even to smaller dimensions than pennies, we would get this equal to 0. Okay, that's how we do sales mix using break-even analysis. Okay, and that ends Chapter 6. And when we return, we'll take a look at Chapter 6 Alpha, and we will continue from there. Until that time, bye for now.